Hello. Um, Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jay from Bukku Accounting, and on behalf of the customer success team, so I'll be conducting the training session today. So I think it's about time we can actually get started with our session today. So today's topic is going to be related to the data migration. If you're looking at moving into Bukku Accounting from any software, so this is definitely the perfect session for you. Okay. So first thing first, our focus today will be, as I mentioned just now, mainly focusing on the import of data. Okay, if you are looking at how to learn, how to use Bukku Accounting, we actually have another training lah. So feel free to just get in touch with our team, and then we will actually point you to another training session. Okay, so today's session is going to be before I forget, right? So we will actually based on a sample company incorporated in year 2023. Okay, and we will see how we can actually migrate everything over. To bring in the opening balance lah, right? So today's session is going to be up to 1.5 hour maximum. Okay, and don't forget we have a Q&A session at the end of this session. So if you have any questions, you can already put it in the I think there's a Q&A section, so you can just put it in the Q&A section there, and I will come back to your questions later after I'm done with the session. Okay, so that's about it, right? So I would like to show you what I have because I've already started sharing my screen. So today's scenario is that I will present to you an original account, okay, and in another accounting software. And how can you tell this is another accounting software? Of course, I can't be sharing with you, and there are so many other accounting software out there, all right? I can't be actually sharing with one of it. So what I'm doing here is I will still use Bukku, but I will try to pretend that we are actually using another accounting software. And in this case, it's actually an accounting software called ACC 123 lah. Okay, just to make it more realistic. And then I also have this account. And of course, by looking at the name, you can tell this is Bukku Accounting. This account is powered by Bukku Accounting. So I want you to think of it that way. And right now, if you look at it here, this Bukku Accounting new account, it's having nothing. Okay, I give you an example, like there's no invoices. The context also is like the only contact that was actually created by the system. Also no products. And if you go to reports, right, virtually nothing lah. Everything is all zero. So today's session is mainly I am going to present to you, show you how you can actually bring everything over. Okay, and before I want to talk about like bringing everything over, it's a good idea that I will show you a quick showcase of what we currently have lah. Like I mentioned just now, imagine this company is actually started in 2023, which is actually last year. Okay, and we've been using this another accounting software ACC 123 for almost the entire year. Okay, up until end of 2023, moving into 2024. Then only I realized that, okay, so this software is not suitable for me. And I just happened to come across another accounting software called Bukku, and I love it, and I decided to move. So everything happened in the year of early 2024. Okay, so now by right, I should have everything key into this old accounting software, ACC 123, for year 2023. Okay, example, I should be having some invoices. Like I said, I started my business in early 2023, and then I've been keying in all the invoices. Okay, so yeah, it's a bit short. The list is a bit short, but you get the idea. Okay, you will have a list of um, invoices, and most of it is actually paid, as you can see. But there are some invoices up until today. Up until 2024. The moment that you are about to do the migration, it's still unpaid, and which is why you're having this lah. Okay, and to make it even more realistic, and it's very unlikely that you will be looking at moving on dot, meaning to say January 1st, 2024, you have already made the decision on that day itself that you found another software, you want to move on. And that's very unlikely. And usually you will be like after a few months, then only you realize that, okay, I wanted to move. So by that time, you have already keyed in some transaction in the new year. So this is a real world situation that you will be dealing with. So just to share with you, so you have this one-time transaction in year 2024 as well. Okay, so that's number one. For sales, for purchases, for your expenses, right? In your old system, also you have a list of um, payments. Purchases, expenses, with different suppliers. Okay, so like TMB, the concept, and similarly, we also have most of it paid already lah. Of course, some of it is still unpaid up until the moment that you want to actually bring everything over to a new system. Okay, and also you have some transactions in the new year as well. So that's purchases. What else? Yeah. Also, you should be having something like this. As you actually started a new business, usually we will talk about the so-called capital injection, right? So you put in money to actually get this business going, right? So in this case, for example, we have Darren, one of the shareholder. We have this Alex Wong also. So both of these shareholders, they injected money of total 375. And in this system is using like a official receipt lah. Okay, so this is another one, 250,000. Both are actually going to a bank account, public bank in this case. So these are all in the system lah. Okay, and then I'm going to show you the customer list, supplier list as well. Okay, so in this new system, in the old system, as you can see, we have quite a number of customers, suppliers, and even employees. And from here, you can see there are still something going on here. Receivable haven't fully paid, payable as well. Okay, so this is actually the customer list. As for the products, the items, services, or whatever that you are selling or providing to your customers, you have something like this. Okay, and example, you have some kind of I don't know, this is like some kind of merchandise. Some mark, you have a notebook. So these two are like a example for some inventory products that you're holding, including the quantity. So you have a number of items with for these two keep kept in your warehouse, right? And you also have a website development. This is a sample example, like services lah. Okay, so this one you won't have a quantity. So that's basically products. And of course, being a proper company, you will have fixed assets. Like MacBook Air, these are just an example lah. You have some computer table. So these are all captured in your old operating system, right? Later I'll show you how we actually can move everything over. And also very important chart of accounts, right? So in this old system, we already have our own chart of accounts, right? Like the PPE, whatever is already customized to our own need lah. Okay, and then so quite a number of accounts, including things like see, I have a breakdown of sales income, services, and products. I have a share capital, the one that we talked about just now, the capital injection. So these are some of the custom accounts that we actually created while we are actually using this old system. So later we'll try to see how we can actually move everything over as well. And then finally, just a quick showcase. See, we started this business in year 2023, and then we ended the same year. So I can actually show you for last year, the balance sheet. Okay, you can see the numbers are all in, assuming that we have already finalized the account for 2023. So this is how it looks like. and the retained earning, the current year earning, and things like that. And as for the profit and loss, I will also zoom into last year, which is this year, and then you can see the income, costing, expenses. End of the day, we have 24,000 net profit lah. So if you look back to the balance sheet, it should be showing the same amount, 20 something. Yeah, 24,000 something. That's the current year profit, net profit. So yeah, that's basically the showcase of this original account. Okay, so that's about it, right? Just spend like 5 minutes plus to actually share with you what we have right now on hand and how we can actually move everything over to a new system. And in this case, I will move into this right-hand side. This is the Bukku accounting system, everything empty. All right, so once you have received, have your account activated, you want to actually bring everything over. One of the key things that you can look at is this little rocket button. Okay, so this should be there for the first 30 days, exactly following your free trial period, that 30 days. So you can click on it, then it's basically step by steps, helping you stay organized, and then you can just go over one by one. And I will try to follow the sequence as much as possible. And let me just go through one by one with you all how to actually set up this new account, right? And then first thing first, company profile. Okay, so this is basically everything about your company and for a few reasons lah. Okay, so in our system, this is used to actually populate, to actually generate the letterhead when you want to issue invoices, quotations, right? So all of this information like the name, registration number, contact information, addresses, and even logo, you can actually put it here. And let me just quickly do something here. Like example, I will put in a contact number. I will try to upload perhaps logos, all right? Let's see if I have the logo here. Yeah, I think I do. Right, so I have this logo. I'm just gonna use this one lah. Yeah, this looks like a good one for me. And then I can just, like I said just now, the reason for that is to actually generate the letterhead. Okay, just click on save. Oops, something's wrong. Okay, I'm supposed to key in the registration number at all. Okay, so I'll just save. And then that's basically it. I'm done with this company profile. Of course, for company profile, usually we don't actually need to be having everything migrated. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You can actually key in yourself. That's number one. Moving on, we would like to talk about the first step. I actually jump a bit, so that the flow is more natural. First thing I want to talk about is this chart of account that just now I did present. I did present to you that how it looks like in the old system and how you can actually bring it over. In our system, you can actually import a list of accounts, right? You click on that, you are presented with a few options, but of course you have to download a file. Okay, because we're talking about import, and usually import in our system refers to importing using an Excel file. So here you can download a template file, and I can show you how the template file looks like as for chart of accounts. And in this case, I have the file here. I'm just going to open up the file. The file looks exactly like this. I'm talking about the template file. All right, so with all the instructions here and all the columns referring to different things like. So, and the reason why you are seeing so many items here is because I have actually taken the template file and then I populated the data with what I have from the old system. Okay, so this is something that you might have to figure out because there's so many accounting software out there and how you can actually get the data out, it's subjective to which software that you're using. Okay, so but end of the day, you have to find a way to map into our system's format lah, which is we actually try our best to make it as simple as possible. Like an example, just a quick one, the account code, the name, these two are the main things that you should make sure that you have it. As for the type also is quite important, right? So I mean, these are pretty standard lah. Whether this is an asset, whether this is a liability or even income. So that's something that you can also easily figure out from your existing system. Okay, so once you have done with preparing the file with the actual data, you can save the file and then we will go ahead and actually upload into the system. And there's a few things that I want you to pay attention to before we want to do the import. One is that you might have noticed some accounts are locked. Whenever you see a locked account, it means that these are like the system account. We call it system accounts that you actually cannot delete. Okay, it's actually there for a reason because, for example, we need these two accounts for the SST module to work. All right, so that's for that reason. So you usually do not have to worry so much about the system accounts. Just leave it there. If you don't need to use it, you can just leave it there. But a very important point is that what if these accounts in our system is locked account and it's actually having a different account code and perhaps a different name, but coming from another system, it could be a different case. Like it could be a different number or different name. So that case, right, you have to try your best to actually map it. Let's say in the old system, you have this example lah. You have this similar account, but it's actually going with a different code. When you import, you just have to pay more attention to the account code and also the naming. If not, then it will actually cause duplicate account in the new system, okay? Which is something that you have to be very careful. Otherwise, you will also key in the amount into a new, a different account as well. Okay, so that's something that you have to pay attention to when it comes to some system lock accounts. And then another few things are like basically, I want you to pay attention to this. I have in the old system, I have this PPE, okay? And it's actually stands for property, plants, and equipments lah. If you are an accountant, perhaps you know what I'm talking about. So it's basically all the fixed assets, the property lah, plants, equipments, and things like that. We call it PPE. Of course, you can go with the full name, but it's up to the user. Sometimes there isn't a standard lah. But in a new system, okay, what we have here created by, already prepared by the system is this property, plant, and equipment. So you see, we have a similar account code, but the name is different. Later, let's see how the system will actually behave if you were to import it. Because in the new, in the import file, it's usually following what you have in the old system. Okay, you don't care about what you have in the new system. It's usually following what you're trying to bring in now. Okay, so let's put it that way. And the other thing that I want you to pay attention to is in an old system, we have share capital, right? We already use it just now. Okay, we have two transactions, the money, the capital injection, and in the new system, you see, if you look at this one, it's actually serving the same purpose. Just that it's called differently. It has a different, it even has a different account code. So, and I will show you later, like how it's going to be like later. That's number two. Number three is that we have customized the chart of account in the old system and to a level that we even have something like sales income 5,000. We have two sub accounts in an old system. Then how about a new system? Just happens that we have something having the same account code, but it doesn't come with that structure, having the breakdown structure. So these three areas are what I purposely are doing and just to showcase in a real world situation, what kind of problems that you will be bumping into lah. Okay, and now after you have actually completed preparing the file, we can just import it. Okay, importing is actually from here. All right, there's a link and you can click on this upload button and let me just drag the file here lah, easier. I have the file that I presented to you just now is this chart of account. So I'm just going to drag onto this box. Okay, so expected and purposely doing that. Three points that I highlighted just now. First one is the PPE. Remember, it goes with a full name in the new system. And now system is telling you before, right? You haven't imported. This is just a summary for you to inspect before you actually going to actually do the import lah. The name is being updated because it was actually sharing with the same account code. Okay, and other than that, the sub accounts are also automatically added here. Okay, and this account also is actually kind of new to the new system, and that's why you actually see a new label. So PPE is the number one that I want you to pay attention to. And remember the second one, it was the share capital versus the owner's share capital. So in this case, system wouldn't be able to differentiate because it's totally different, right? Share capital is share capital. And when you have this owner's share capital is already different. Some more, your account code also is different. So if you were to continue importing, it's going to cause duplicates. But you do not have to worry about it. If in a new system, because we are talking about a brand new system that has no transaction at all, you can basically delete this one. Let's say you want to use the old system 4050. Hey, then later after import, you will have two copies of something similar. You can just delete that 4001. Okay, so that's something that you can consider doing lah. That's number two. And then the most tricky case is the 5000. Remember, one has a sub accounts, the other one does not. And that's the reason why you actually get an error here, right? Pointing at line 44 and 45. Let's look at it, 44 and 45. It's these two lines. It's exactly the sub accounts. And why is it happening? Because as actually stated here, all right, in the current system, the new system, the sales income account, right, the parent account, which is this one, is already being used, and it cannot be added with extra some sub accounts under this already used account. So when you bump into this kind of a situation, okay, what you can do is you are going to you are going to rename it. Okay, so you're just going to rename in the new system. Okay, and it's going to cause duplicate, but this is something that we can actually deal with later. So see, we have this duplicated 5000 and then the duplicated sales income. And this new system, the trick is actually simple. You can just look at the sales income. Oops, this account 5000, and let's just make it 5000A, and this is the old account. As simple as that. Okay, and we're trying to avoid the conflict, and then we will actually do it again. Okay, instead of here, I will just do a import from here. As you can see, the error is now gone. And if you look at the sales income part, okay, see, now we are able to avoid the duplication, but again, I mean, avoid the conflict lah, but it actually causing a duplication here, which is something that we can actually sort out later. So this is actually part of, most likely you might bump into when you are importing, you're trying to import the list of chart of accounts, right? So once everything is like no errors, you can just click on the update and it will bring you back to chart of accounts with the chart of accounts from the old system. Everything brought in. Like, let me just showcase to you. This is being updated, right? Just now it was actually a full name. That's number one. And then the share capital, right? So again, this is straightforward. As mentioned just now, system never complained, so there's a high chance that it was not used, and I can simply just delete the duplicate. And let's say I want to use the the old one, I can just delete this one. Okay, so that's now like gone. And as for sales income, this is actually imported, and this is actually the old one. So if you were to try deleting, as you can see here, it doesn't work because for some reasons, right, some settings or something else is actually using this account already. So this is the reason why it cannot be deleted. So when you bump into this situation, you can, if you cannot delete, you can deactivate. So that will actually hide the account from almost everywhere lah. Okay, so that's a very important steps into bringing everything over, migrating everything over, which is the chart of accounts. And moving on, I want to show you contacts, a list of customers, suppliers, and everything else. As you can see, we have nothing here. And we also happens to have the import feature. And it's similar with what you experienced just now. There's a template file. And let me show you the template file. The template file looks like this. Of course, it comes with a lot of instructions. Very good for the first timer, right? So you can actually digest, then you understand better how this file works lah. Okay, so this is the template file, and what makes it different is I have already prepared everything. I mean, I key in everything, or I actually find a way to copy paste from an old system into the new system, following the new system format lah. In this case, I have all the legal names, other names, all the related information, like the billing person, or even, I don't have an address, but you can definitely key in the addresses here as well. So see, I have this file ready. These are all following the old systems. If you don't believe me, you can just pay attention to the first one, Alex, until the TMB, Royal Customs. In an old system, it's exactly that. Okay, it's exactly the same list that I have actually prepared. So I'm just going to import into the new system with the file that we have already prepared, right? So it's just going to be like this. Okay, so you get a little summary, how many records will be added, how many will be updated. First, you have all this like going to be added into the new system. And then second line, system is telling you that this will be updated. The reason for that is because you have cash sales in the old system. You also have cash sales in the new system. So of course, system is not going to create a new one, duplicate lah. That's why it's actually telling you it will be updated. And if everything is good, just click on the import button. And there you have it. Just now it was just one liner. Now it's everything in. Exactly. I mean, it's almost exactly the same as what you have here. Right? 11 items. 11 items. But what is different if you have noticed? The numbers, right? So these numbers are already there. But in the new system, it's not there yet. Because don't worry, we are on the right track. Later, I'll show you why is this happening and how to actually bring it back lah. Okay, bring all the data back into the new system. Okay, so that's import of the products. The context. Now I want you to actually show you. I want to show you products. Right. Again, if we have nothing here. But just now, I think you recall we have 3 or 4 products, including one of it being the service lah. Okay, it's the same thing. You have the import button. You have a template file. The template file looks like this. Okay, very similar. I mean, the only difference thing is actually just the columns because we're dealing with different things. So it is supposed to be different lah. Okay, so find a way to export everything into export everything from the old system, and then you copy paste into this new system lah. Okay, so these are all the stuff that we have from the old system: pricing, description, pricing. Yeah, so that's what you need to do when you have time. After this is actually completed, you will import it, drag and drop. Okay, similarly, you have three products to be imported, including the last one, service. And the reason why you have this record updated is because you have the same product in two systems. Okay? That's why the system is doing an update instead of a addition. Okay, so now click on the button and you will have the items imported into the new system, just like what you have in the old system. 4 items. Again, the only difference is that quantity, you don't have it here. That is going to be part of the opening balance step, which we will talk about now. Okay, so after you're done with accounts, contacts, products, and even the company profile just now, one of the final step for you is to bring in the opening balance. Or this is going to take a bit longer lah. Just bear with me. And that opening balance step is actually here. Okay, for those that are not familiar, because we're talking about moving from one system to another. Okay, and usually it's not advisable or even not possible to just find a way to copy paste everything from an old system into a new system. By saying copy paste, I'm referring to, like, let's say you had 10 years of transactions. Are you going to have all that 10 years transaction in the new system? Usually it's not so straightforward, and sometimes it's a lot of time it's not possible lah, because there's so many systems out there. So the only better solution is to bring in a cut off, right? You cut off accordingly, like I presented just now. 2024 only, I realized I needed another accounting software, and whatever that I key into in the system, in the old system in last year, 2023, it's already in the old system, and I'm just going to bring in everything like a lump sum, everything combined together. Okay, and this step is exactly that. Okay, so you will have to bring in the closing balance following the cut-off date that you decided. And as you can see here, now you have all the zeros. So if you're wondering how this can be done, all right, debit and credit, all these things, usually you have to go to your current accounting system, look for a report called trial balance. Okay, so this trial balance, you can easily find. Definitely any accounting software would have it. Okay, and of course, you have to select the date accordingly. You cannot just simply select. It has to be the date that you are moving into a new system. And this is following end of last year lah. So starting January 2024, you can actually start using a new system. Okay, so these are all the debit and credits that we talked about just now. Of course, you can key in one by one. Like example, you have this accounts receivable. You can key in here, right? But of course, this is very tedious lah, which is why we also happens to have this import feature, and it works pretty much the same. The file is actually here. As you can see here, account opening balance template. You just open it up. Of course, you download from the system lah. And this is how it looks like. Okay, account code with the debit and credit. And the reason why you're seeing all these figures are because I did the hard work before this session. So I don't want to waste your time looking at me doing the data entry here. So it only has to be done once. All right, which is all the figures that you are seeing here. Right, prepare an Excel file so you can actually make your life a lot easier. Just import using like one click lah. So I am going to try importing. Okay, I have this and I have the file here. So I'm just going to drag onto this box. Okay, so as you can see here, all the figures are now in. And if you scroll down, you see this debit and credit. we are able to tally both sides lah. And then click next. Just click on next to see what is going to happen. All right, so before I even want to show you this, let me just go back in time. We have figures under inventory that indicates what? It means that at this point of time, you have items. You are holding a number of items on hand. We're talking about the stock control, the inventory control. You have something on hand. That's number one. Number two is that account receivable is 4,000 something. It means that someone owe you money. When you are ending your last year, someone is still owing you money, which is very, very common. Okay, and same goes to the accounts payable. You haven't paid certain bills, like perhaps PMB or something else, right? So that's basically what we have here in this current situation. Click on save, you will be brought to this interface, outstanding stock, right? Remember just now we did tell the system that inventory that's like 9,000 something we have on hand. Okay, so it's all coming from the old system's opening balance, right? So what is this all about? Inventory. So you have to figure a way out in your existing system. But let's say your previous system is kind of straightforward. What you can do is, because we're talking about the stock balances, right? You can actually look for something similar. And in this case, this ACC 123 happens to have a very nice report called inventory summary. Again, everything has to follow the closing. Okay, that you decided lah. Click update and you have this little summary. Okay, and it contributes to this 9,000 something. Okay, exactly the value, the amount that you saw just now. So now I can do what? I can try to import or key into the new system like this. Okay, and quantity costing wise, I have this 955. The cost is 8.95, which is already there. All right, what's the quantity again? Yeah, 955. Okay, and then you have the other product. In this case, is a notebook, Active 5, 5.95. Active 5, okay, 5.95 is there. Active 5 quantity. Okay, so did you notice that the applied amount, it was changing just now, while the total remains, because this is already given in the earlier steps, and then now you are able to see these two amounts coming together. So that means the system can now tally lah. Exactly, you told the system that you have something 9,000 something on hand, and then here you're telling more insights, giving more insights for the system, and then it's coming to the same amount. Then you can just go ahead with the next one, click save, outstanding invoices. All right, in the system, it was captured 4,000 something. All right, how do you actually get this amount in your old system? Okay, usually you can't run too far. It must be something to do with aging receivable, or something similar. Just go to, by the way, before I forget, right? You might be wondering, why am I doing it manually just now? Okay, don't forget, because the reason why I do it manually is so that I'm trying to demonstrate that it can be manually key in, or you can actually use an Excel file to import. And the reason why I did that was, it was straightforward enough for me. It's just 2 lines. But if you have a lot of products, of course, you're not going to do this. You are going to use the import file. Okay. Coming back to these outstanding invoices, 4,000 something, right? Like I mentioned just now, you should just look at this something like this, edge receivables. Don't forget, change the date accordingly, update. Then you have something like this. Like each of these customers owing you how much? 2006 lah, 2009. Added up together, 4,500 something, which is exactly the same as what you see here. So you see, I have only two lines. I mean, I can key in line by line, or I can use an import file. It doesn't matter, depending on which one works better for you. But as you can see, so it's so straightforward. I'm just going to do this. And here, I'm just going to give a random number and the amount I can pull from the total outstanding, which is this guy is owing me 1,006. So I'm just going to key in this one, and then second one, gamma penambahan. Here, gamma is 1,002, and the amount, I can just do this. Okay, so it's just that I have two lines. So should I mention that this is what I usually call it a shortcut way of doing it. Because you see, just now I don't really care what is actually the invoice number, right? You can't really see the invoice number here, like from one from beta and one from gamma. And you can't even tell like this is actually coming from which transactions, how many transactions is number one, and which transactions, the invoice number. You see, we don't care about it. That's why I was able to key in this. So whether you should use this approach or go with a proper way, it's entirely up to you lah. Of course, you can have some discussion with your auditor if you are Sendian Berhad. Otherwise, most of the cases, having a summary is good enough lah. Of course, it also depends on your requirements or your boss requirements. If they prefer everything to be in the new system properly, what do I mean by properly? This is a lump sum approach. Okay, I don't care how many transactions owed by beta, right? But if you want to find out more, of course, in your existing system, you should be able to get a more detailed version of the receivables. Again, change the date, and each customer, how many transactions, right? This is number one. There could be another transaction. It just happens that both of these customers have one outstanding. You see, you have all the details here. So a more proper way is to follow the invoice number one by one. Okay, and that's why sometimes it's better to have a template file to actually handle this situation lah. So just a refresher, you have two ways lah. One is to go for a shortcut. The other one is to every single outstanding transactions you will import as single line. Okay, so now you have these two amounts coming together, and go to the next one. This is also the same, right? You have outstanding bills referring to the money you owe to your suppliers. In this case, we call it payable lah. All the amounts are here. I have this accounts payable, I have employees payables. Of course, you can use import, and otherwise, in your current system, you look for not receivable anymore. It should be payable. Click on that. Okay, same thing. Last financial year, you have the breakdown. Of course, I'm just going to go ahead with the shortcut way. Alex Wong, 5,004. Let's do that quickly. Alex Wong, 5,004. All right. Second one is this econ safe, 8950. Okay, 8950. And then I have finally this TMB, 322. Okay, see, even if I'm doing it manually, it doesn't actually take long, because in this case, I only have 3 lines to actually go through. And guess what? These amounts are now tally, right? Even going to which account, system can tell. Because if you were to do it, import it properly, those accounts are already selected accordingly. And that's why you are able to get to this easily. Okay, click save, you're done. The opening balance is now done with all the numbers coming in. Okay, so just now, if you have noticed, it was all zero because the system doesn't know, like how much you have up until one point. Okay, so that's basically how you can actually import your opening balance. Okay, it sounds like fairly straightforward, right? Of course, a real world situation is never the case. I'm trying to be frank with you all. And the reason why it was so smooth is we make the assumption that we do the migration following your financial year. And very oftenly, we have customers coming to us saying that I cannot wait until year end. I want to move now. Okay, so that is a very common issues that we actually bump into. All right. So if that's the case, unfortunately, it's not so straightforward, but we have two proposals to handle that kind of situation. Let's say you are in a month of, let's say now lah, we talk about October. Okay, but perhaps October is not a very good um example, because you could have just wait for another 2 months and then you can actually follow the financial year already. Let's assuming that we are at the middle of the year. Now we are in July. All right, and we are in July. In example, you have key in everything, right? You have key in everything until July, June or July. And now only you realize that you want to move accounts, that you can do it, right? So you can do exactly the same thing using the same approach. Sorry, you shouldn't be here. We're talking about the opening balance step. Just now it was following your financial year. Doesn't matter. You can choose. Of course, you have to actually pick end of the month lah. I don't think it's a good idea to just migrate at the middle of the month. Even if you actually key in some data like first half of July, you might have to actually redo that thing in, but that's just a few days lah. Okay, so I'm just going to select end of June. You can do exactly that. When the only difference is that when you're trying to pull the closing balance from this trial balance, you don't select the end of financial year anymore. You should just select accordingly. Like this case is end of June, and you'll get slightly different numbers here. Then you do the import. So this is, just like I mentioned, there are two ways to actually go about that. So this is one looks very straightforward. It's just like how we actually did just now. No changes other than you make changes to the date itself. But the problem comes in later. Now, because we are moving the mid of the year, right? The problem is you have a lump sum figures on this day. Okay, so January until June, all the transactions, the breakdowns are not in this new system. We are just bringing in a lump sum kind of thing, meaning to say that January to June, all the details, when it comes to year-end audit, you still need to supply these information, isn't it? So this information, you have no choice but to pull from an old system, right? Meaning to say, January to June, you have to use your old system to generate part of the year's report sent to your auditor. Okay, so that's the problem. And then following that, the second half, you have to use this new system to generate. So that's a bit of like a hassle to your side and also to the auditor lah. So whether they're going to charge more or not, I'm not sure. You can check with them. That's the problem. And then the other one is that in case your old system, I cannot assume what system you're using. Let's say you're paying on a monthly basis or even like a subscription basis lah. You will have no choice but to continue subscribing until the end of the year, because only end of the year, end of December, sometimes it will drag for a few months lah. January, February, you better continue subscribe so you can generate all the reports when asked by your auditor. So that's the downside. Okay, so that's something that might be a bit challenging to some of you lah. Number two, the second approach, right? Let's say you don't want to deal with that kind of situation. The second recommendation is just follow financial year. even if you have key in everything until June, July, still follow end of the financial year, okay? And then you will ask me, how do I go about for the data that I've already key into the old system? How do I bring everything over, right? Because in order to generate the full reports, you need to have the full transactions in the new system. The way that you can go about is, depending on whether that's doable or not, right? Our system is all open, flexible, in a sense that you can bring in whatever transactions, up to 500 transactions in an Excel file. If you can figure a way out to actually prepare the file, you can import January until June. Okay, so that's the second approach. Of course, this is actually a more proper way lah. So really depends on what resources or what kind of situations that you are actually into, then you can import. We're talking about everything, like you can import credit note, you can import invoices, you can import payments. So most of the transactions you can import into the new system. Okay, so that is a more proper way when you want to migrate following not following the calendar year lah. So that is an important note that I want to actually highlight. Okay, and then now after you're done with importing opening balance, we actually have one more thing left. This thing is called fixed assets. We did talk about it just now. In the old system, you do have some fixed assets. Whether you have a proper fixed assets module to handle it, it doesn't matter. But we're talking about this situation, right? How do you bring it over to the new system? Okay, let me show you. In the old system, we have two fixed assets. One is a computer, the other one is furniture. So in order to bring into the new system, you first have to set up the category of assets. So unfortunately, this is perhaps the only last thing that we doesn't support import, but let me show you this can be done quickly. You are just going to prepare the asset type, which is the categorization of your assets. And in the old system, you have these computer equipments, right? So I'm just going to do that. Just going to do that. Right, the accounts, the computer equipments, you can just select accordingly. And why is it so simple? Because everything comes in together with the steps that we did just now. We already imported all the accounts, and therefore you can simply just select like that. Okay, so the rest, it doesn't really matter. You can just click save. And then we just continue with the second thing, furniture. Okay, furniture, we have furniture costing, the accumulated depreciation and the expenses. Same thing, click save. Okay, once you have this ready, you can just go ahead in our system. There's a fixed assets module, fortunately, and we allow batch register. Okay, so regardless of you having 100, 200 fixed assets, you can use this feature to actually import lah. We have also a import feature. So the template file, we are always talking about template file. I have this file here. This is the template file. It looks like this. These are all the instructions. So this case, I am having two fixed assets from the old system, right? So then you have it here. I mean, you just have to prepare the file accordingly, right? And that's it basically. Okay, in the old system, you see everything has been depreciated to a certain extent, and the value is now down to these figures, right? So in a new year, in a new system, let's see how we are going to import it. We have the file ready. So I'm just going to try importing the file here. Drag here. Okay, as you can see now, the data is in accordingly, telling you, okay, this is previously partially depreciated. Click on save, and there you have it. Okay, purchase date, the name, the costing, the original costing, and the partially depreciated. This is tricky, but our system can handle it properly. Okay, so whatever that you have in the old system, like example, this MacBook Air, it has been depreciating since the beginning of the year when we started the business up until end of the year. 3358. You have this 3358. And if you were to continue depreciating, everything in our system is kind of automated. Let's say you want to depreciate for the first 6 months, click depreciate, right? And you see the value will go further down and the depreciation is like automated here. Okay, if you pay attention to the monthly figures, right, it's the same. I mean, if you are able to key in the settings properly, then you can expect everything just works seamlessly lah. Whatever amounts being depreciated in the old system, it will be the same moving forward. Okay, so that's the other part I want to talk about, the import of fixed assets. Okay, we're almost done already. We're just left with one final step, right? That step is related to bank recon. Okay, so when you do a migration, one of the requirements is you have to make sure everything is finalized, including the bank. So that would also means, right, your bank accounts, in this case, let's say Alliance Bank, it has nothing, so we don't talk about it. This public bank, you have an amount, and this amount is, let me just show you, as of last year, this amount should be this thing, right? So you should do a first time depreciation. And how you go about is this. Click on the depreciate button, click on manual reconciliation, okay, and then date wise you select end of last year, okay, and then the amount, it's straightforward. There's only one line here. You can just copy paste and then pick this line. You will see immediately it's balanced. Click save. You're done. Basically, now, technically speaking, you have everything cleared from last year already, kind of reconcile at the end of last year, and everything is good. You can just go ahead and actually start using this new system in year 2024. Okay, so I have actually concluded all the steps. So now we're only left with verification. How can we be sure that these are all migrated, everything migrated properly lah? Okay, I will try to inspect a few areas. A more important one is perhaps the reports. Okay, so the reports, balance sheets, let's try that. The old system, balance sheets, last year. Okay, let's look at the figures, and perhaps we can do a side-by-side even. Right, let me just drag this over. Oops, I can't do that. I think I can. Yeah, so I am going to do this. Okay, let's do a side-by-side comparison. As for the balance sheet, okay, you can spot the difference and see. Oops, I didn't do that. Okay, you can spot the difference. All right, in fact, I don't think we can find any differences, because if everything is migrated properly, it should be the same. Okay, everything so far, it's the same, as you can see here, right? Of course, the final is 414. You have this 414 here. And let's look at the profit and loss as well. Following last year lah. Update. And then here we also have this profit and loss, right? Also last year. Okay, yeah. So if no surprises, it should be the same lah. Okay, what you are seeing here. Yep. So 24,000, 24,000. Yep. So it's all verified. So that actually testify what I actually mentioned. It's everything migrated, everything over properly, then you can actually see two sides having the same amount. Okay, so with that, I actually can conclude our presentation today, and I think we can now open for Q&A. Okay, let's see if we have questions coming in already, and I'll try my best to actually answer. Okay, I have this first question in. Someone is asking if the previous system doesn't actually use account codes, but in a new system like this, we actually deal with like account code. I think it doesn't matter, right? I mean, when you are preparing the file, you can simply just get a running number, right? So example 1001, 102, you can actually do that fairly easily. But because this is a requirement in our system, so it's better to follow lah. Okay, so but again, depending on what's your requirements, if you really don't care so much about the numbering, I mean the running number convention we have here is every category we have a slightly different starting number lah. So whether you want to use it or not, it's up to you. You just have to come up with a number lah. Okay. All right. Can I have a copy of today's training session? Yes, yes. We will later upload to our YouTube channel, so you can actually check with our. You can actually talk to our team, and we'll actually share with you the YouTube link later lah. Okay. All right. So another question that we have here is if the previous accounting system used a different code, can I follow last system? I think this question, right? If I were you, I will follow last system unless you want to start everything new, which is I don't think is a good idea lah. Because whatever account code that you have been using, most likely you are used to it and your staff also is used to it. Better follow last system. Okay. Can the system change the presentation for negative numbers into brackets? Interesting. I think our system right now deal with negative numbers with a negative sign. This one I think is not possible yet, but I strongly believe this is actually out of like your people's preference lah. So I think you can actually send in a feature request. Our team can actually look into that lah. Okay, so that in the future, you might be able to choose lah which kind of presentation that you want to actually have for your account. All right. Okay, let's see if we have more questions coming in. Yeah, we'll wait for another few minutes. Okay, up until now, yep, I got one more question. How long usually does it take to use a template to complete migration? That depends on how ready your current system is, right? If your system is able to export everything and you're not dealing with a lot of data, I would say it's mostly like finding a time to export data for your past years and then mapping everything into the current format. Okay, doing a bit of massage. I would say it's definitely less than half a day, right? As you can see just now, without looking at the messing around with the template, I was able to go through the entire session. It's just in just 1 hour. And don't forget, I was also talking through. If I don't talk, then the whole process of the import is less than half an hour for without considering the template file steps lah. So, but then I would say it's definitely less than half a day lah. 3 or 4 hours would be the maximum, right? Unless you have to do a lot of manual works. Okay. Mhm. The format of this code, like XXXX, like 4 digits, can be in the other formats or not, like slash, adding a slash or something. Yes, so it's entirely up to you. I mean, when you want to do the import or even when you are creating a new account, you can actually do that. So it's entirely up to you. Okay. Okay, we'll try to wait for another few minutes and see if we have more questions coming in before we end the session. All right. Okay, looks like we do not have any other questions coming in. If that's the case, I think we can like conclude our session today. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. If you all still have any questions, feel free to just reach out to our team. Otherwise, I hope to see you all in the perhaps future sessions. We are trying to come up with more sessions covering different topics. So hopefully I can see you again in the future, and looking forward to actually be talking to you guys again. Thank you. See you guys around. Bye bye.